you deal with incredibly serious issues. I mean, you're quite an influential person. You've got, I think it's always goes back and forth between you and Joe Rogan, who has the biggest podcast, or I don't know if this is like
Rogan created the genre. Rogan created, I talked to Rogan today, actually. Amazing guy. But I just want to say one word about Rogan. I've been in the media, as I said, my whole life. Rogan was like a sitcom actor and a stand-up comedian and like an MMA fighter. Okay, so he starts this thing called a podcast where he talks for like 3 hours. I'm in television at like a big network, and I'm looking over at this being like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. You know, no one's gonna listen to a 3-hour podcast from some MMA fighter. I know, right. And this guy's not even in our business. Like, what's he doing? He completely changed not just American media, but American history. He created a whole new, I mean, it would be like this one guy invented the newspaper or television. I mean, that's how big what Rogan did was. And I just will admit freely that I did not see it coming. I did not understand it. I didn't think it would work. And the fact that it did work says something so great and important about Americans, which is they really want to learn. They're not learning in school. They're not learning in the rest of the media. It's all shallow and dumb and about race and gender. It's all lying. And Rogan's just like willing to sit there with interesting people and talk for 3 hours. That was the most affirming, that is the most reassuring thing I've ever seen in 35 years in media, that worked.
Yeah.
And so I'm thrilled by Rogan. I'm proud to be his friend, and I really admire him more than anybody in media by far.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, and again, you are one of the most influential people right now in the world in media. And over the last year, I don't think what just happened on Tuesday would have happened without Rogan, without you, without Elon Musk. I mean, there's a series of people, but they are reaching lots of people. But the reason I bring this up, though, is that you seem to be super lighthearted about it at the same time. I see you as a very interesting guy in terms of you deal with very serious issues. I mean, you're interviewing world leaders. You're calling people out that you disagree with. And you're funny about it. You seem to just really enjoy your life, and really, you just seem to have a real strong center in the midst of it.
Well, I don't think I'm in charge of history. I have a keen understanding of the limits of my foresight and power. I don't think I'm God. I believe in God, and it's not me. So that's like the root of my happiness. I know that everything we do is basically just dogs barking. It will be forgotten. You know, you do your best, but in the end, your name will not be remembered. Your grave will not be visited. You are insignificant in the scope of history, period. And knowing that, you will die. And knowing that, and I keep that ever present in my mind, lightens it a little bit. It's not up to you to change the world. God's in control, not you. And so all you can do is your best, knowing that you'll probably screw it up at least half the time. Just apologize when you do and keep going. But it sort of lightens the burden a little bit. I see these people in Washington like, I have to change the world. And it's like, you will at best make it worse. Like, you're an idiot, actually. And so am I. But the difference is I admit it. I know I am. And that is such an affirming thing. And also, the other thing I would say is I have dogs. I have a lot of dogs, and they sleep on the bed, and I hunt with them, and I really love them, and so does my wife. And we sit in bed, and we spend at least an hour a day talking about our dogs. Aren't they great? They're so great. And we have these circular conversations that are the same every single day, but despite the fact they're repeated 365 days a year, they are no less enthusiastic and sincere. Like, we really mean it. Like, that dog's amazing. Yeah, that dog's amazing. And we're not embarrassed about it. And it is such a great lesson that the most beautiful and the deepest and the most important things in life take place right in your bedroom, on your bed, right in your life. Like, don't imagine that the only things that are important are taking place on your phone or in some faraway country or in a battlefield or a conference room or at this, the scale of world economies. No, it's a sleeping dog with her tongue out of her mouth is like way more important than anything else that's going on right now, because it's happening in your bedroom, and that's your dog, and that's your wife. And there's like joy right in front of you, and you should experience that joy every single day. It's like your instincts, don't ignore them. If you feel something really strongly, it's true. If you're deriving great joy from something totally stupid like watching your dog snore, that's okay. Don't anyone tell you otherwise. Do you know what I mean? I see these people, these political people are like, no, I need to make the world safe for trans kids. And it's like, okay, great. But first, like, how about being nice to your own kids and pleasing your own wife and like, get a dog. Get some freaking perspective. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's awesome.
So all these companies are always telling you how much money they're giving to charity. Oh, we're so charitable. But what are the charities they're giving to? These brands that you buy that you have in your house, you don't even want to know. Very often they're charities that don't have the same values that your family has. Sometimes they're charities that don't like your family at all. But when you use Pure Talk, which is a cell phone company a lot of us use, you can be certain that your money is going to charities that you yourself would give to. Veteran-led companies, for example. To date, Pure Talk has gotten rid of $10 million in debt held by veterans. They've spent tens of thousands more every month to help prevent veteran suicide. They just gave $50,000 to Mike Rowe Works, which gives scholarships to veteran learning the trades after they leave military service, et cetera, et cetera. So you've seen companies, once again, we're not going to name names, Bud Light, but that do business with lunatics. Again, charities that run contrary to your worldview, that despise your worldview, but with Pure Talk, you don't have to worry about that. This is a company that supports causes that you can support. Pure Talk gives you the same great cell service that America's most dependable 5G networks provide for half the cost. They also support small businesses with excellent and affordable business plans. They are powering us here at TCN, so we can vouch for it, and they can probably save you money too. Find out, go to puretalk.com/Tucker today. Switch to a company that aligns with your values. Pure Talk. When you sign up at puretalk.com/Tucker, you get an additional 50% off your first month. We recommend it.
You've interviewed so many people. I mean, recently, Elon Musk. I mean, you interviewed Putin earlier in the year.
Putin!
What was that experience like?
It was great. It was super interesting. And I should just say that when I interview somebody, obviously I'm endorsing everything that person's ever done. It does really go back to the American media where I've spent my entire life. I'm the son of a journalist. I grew up around it. So that makes it 55 years I've been around this. And its current state is almost beyond description in how low and poisonous and dishonest it is. I'm just ashamed to be a part of it. No, I mean, of course you would want to interview. Your default, if your job is to interview people, is to interview the most powerful people in the world, the most significant people in the world. And the point of those interviews is to ask them obvious questions and then let the public in your country, in my case it's the United States, decide what they think. That's my job. And so the idea that you wouldn't interview somebody because the State Department doesn't like him, or the senile guy in charge of the country has declared war on him without a congressional resolution, that the government doesn't want you to interview. I don't care what the government wants. I'm an American citizen. I can talk to anybody I want to, and moreover, I can have any opinion I want to. That's my birthright. And that's why I don't live in Sri Lanka, okay, or North Korea or any other country. I'm American, okay? That's what it is to be American. So I'm not being defensive. I actually don't care that the New York Times called me a Putin lover. What I don't, anyone who believes New York Times is like, okay, good luck. But it's just a little bit bewildering that nobody else wanted to interview Putin because what the CIA tells you you're not supposed to want to? If the CIA tells me I'm not supposed to want to do something, and they certainly made that very clear to me, that makes me want to do it more. I mean, that's my job. And if you find yourself like on the set of Morning Joe taking orders from the intel agencies, then maybe you should just go work for the intel agencies. Maybe you should admit that to your viewers. Well, today's program is brought to you by the NSA because effectively it is. And the intel agencies have a much greater role in American news coverage than most news consumers understand. I would say that virtually any news consumers understand. And I've seen it, for over 30 years, so I'm very familiar with it. But it's absolutely crazy that no one has stopped it. And I'm praying, it's very hard to stop it, by the way. I'm praying that Donald Trump will. I mean, it's on a long to-do list, but I would say near the top, you have to, if you want to restore democracy, which we don't currently really have. I mean, the lefties are right about that. They don't want it. I do want it. I actually like democracy because I think it's my country. I was born here. I'm an owner of this system. I'm not a renter or a serf. But if you want to restore it, you have to prevent the government from using your tax dollars to lie to you. Because if you have that system, which we currently have, trust me, I can speak with authority on this, then you don't have a democracy because you don't even know what reality is. In other words, the people in charge are deciding what you can know about what they're doing. Well, that's a rigged system by its nature. How is that not a rigged system? How is that democracy? It's not. It's an oligarchy of the worst kind. And I just don't think people in this country understand the degree to which the information that they received over their Google machines or from NBC News or from the last of the dying newspapers, they don't understand just how filtered that information is. Like, you have no idea what's going on in the rest of the world if you're only getting your news in this country. You have no idea what the candidates are really like. It's really crazy. We have an ongoing debate in my office because we travel a lot. Does the average North Korean peasant have a better idea of what's happening in the world than the average person in a suburb of Boston? Maybe. It's actually open to debate. Like, that's how filtered it is. And so the first step toward fixing it is admitting that you have the problem. Let's stop pretending. If you can't even go interview Putin, who's engaged in a war in the middle of Europe, if you're discouraged from doing that, and the US government tried to stop me from doing that by breaking into my Signal account and leaking it to the New York Times, they got caught, they admitted it. If that's allowed, no one was ever fired for it. The New York Times didn't rise to my defense. Hey, you can't use an intel agency to prevent a journalist from doing his job. No, it's totally fine. Man, it's a really, really rotten system, and it's the basis of all we know. How do you know what's happening in the world? How do you know what reality is? Well, because you see it on your phone. So you have to have honest sources of information, or at least a diversity of sources of information. You don't have to trust any one source, but you got to have a choice. It can't all just be, Mika Brzezinski telling you what happened yesterday, because not good.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. We hope you'll subscribe to it. And by the way, you can hit the little bell on there and get notifications every time we produce a video. We hope you'll do that also.